Welcome to PixelJunk Radio Episode 2. I'm your host, Ariel Angelotti, and with me are Dylan Cuthbert.
Good evening.
Bear Trickey.
Hello.
And Duncan Flat.
Alright.
Yay, so this is episode number 2. So I was hoping that we would talk about, a little bit about us. Who we are, why we're in Japan, and why we are at Q Games making games.
So, make it interesting and snappy and fun.
Snappy.
Pressure.
Yeah.
For all the millions
Snappy.
of users.
Millions of people out there listening to us right now.
Our adoring fans.
Okay. Yeah. Can we make fun of you? Can we make fun of you while you're doing it?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is what I want to know.
That's why I'm here. I thought.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
This is what I want to know. Why is your name Bear?
My real name is Barrett. But my parents always wanted to call me Bear from the beginning.
Really?
So yeah, they wanted to call me Bear from the beginning, but then they decided, well, he needs like
you were Bear from
a
the
real
beginning. Ha 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 ha. Sorry.
I was Bear from the beginning. But they wanted to call me Bear, but they thought it'd be good to have like a real, like a traditional name, so they gave me Barrett.
Is Barrett the traditional name? Is it?
It's more of the last name, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the last name.
Yeah, I've never heard of it as a first name before. So your parents were old then?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's an awesome name.
We have a lot of odd names in our family.
Yeah,
Tobe and Penny.
Tobe,
Penny, Bronwyn.
Aaliyah. No, that's a regular English
very
name.
regular.
Tobe, is that like Old
Penny's
Testament
very
or
good.
something?
Yeah, it's from Tobias.
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 Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sweet. Now that
Yeah.
combined with your surname and the way you say it in Japanese, because the surname comes first, makes you Tricky Bear,
Tricky Bear, yeah. Everyone calls me
Bear.
Tricky Bear here.
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Yes.
That is pretty cool.
Kind of a funny name, isn't it?
Mm.
When the resume turned up, we were a bit confused.
So yeah, I'm a planner, and started working here as a test player first. Test played a lot of PixelJunk games.
PixelJunk Racers.
Racers was my first game ever. to
From the
test play.
beginning, you were
Yeah.
PixelJunker.
Yeah.
And I honed my cat-like reflexes.
Yeah, your reflexes.
And,
Yeah.
So explain to everyone what a
Racers.
planner is.
Planner is a jack of all trades. So we organize artists and programmers, and we design stages, we design game features, we test play, we clean the air conditioning vents, take out
The
the
vacuum
trash,
cleaner, the vacuum cleaner.
vacuum.
So in English,
But yeah, basically in a
English, please.
yeah.
in English, yeah, we're game designers.
Game design.
Yeah.
That causes quite a lot of confusion, doesn't it? Because in
Yes.
Japan, planner is, as you said, I suppose, game designer. What we call
And
it.
designer
Yeah.
And
in
designer
Japanese.
is an artist. isn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's quite
And
tricky.
a programmer is a programmer.
I also think the Japanese term planner encompasses a little bit more than the Western game designer term as well. It requires, I think, a little bit more discipline. Even more discipline than a game designer, because you have to do a bit of a lot more of everything. I think it's, as Bear said, it's like also includes like a bit more sort of management as well.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a whole level of management you can take out almost of a Western game company that a game designer, or a planner, would do
Yeah.
in Japan.
Yeah.
Or like your producers as well, kind of, basically. Yeah.
Maybe. I've never actually worked in a Western game company, so I can't.
Yeah, no,
Can't
it's
say-
it's slightly different to producing, but some planners can become producers, I think. So I'd say a planner is a slightly more game designer oriented producer. Yeah. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's sort of slightly different discipline, I suppose. Where the producer is more like looking at the product overall and making sure it all gets fitted together and constructed correctly,
Yeah.
all equally important.
And now we also have kind of the director system.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
planners can be either director or an assistant director in the artistic sense.
So rather than have an overall director, it's different sections of the game get different directors,
Yeah.
and they're self-contained, like directed units. Sort of
Yep.
thing. And there's an assistant
Teams.
director as well. So it's always a combination of two people that is that direct areas of the game. Like it could be for one stage of a game, for example.
Yeah. Make sure all the content and all the content for the stages in, make sure the stage is fun, make sure it looks, looks nice.
Fun. You're in charge of fun.
Yeah.
pretty
Well, we
much.
all are, I think.
Yeah.
I think all programmers, artists, and planners are all in charge of the fun. I think.
Yeah.
So our producers, the nasty.
No, producers also
Fun
are in
squash.
charge of the fun as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
They have to keep everybody having fun while they're making
Yeah.
fun, sort of thing.
This is true.
And the way Q doesn't have like a really strict hierarchical. Oh, I can never say that word.
Apart
You
from,
don't have a hierarchy, a strict hierarchy. So
apart from the dictator at the top. that's-
yeah. So it's kind of
feudal system. Right?
yeah. It's like one throne, 1,000 slaves.
Yeah, exactly. All rowing hard.
Taking out the garbage, cleaning the
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah.
But like all the slaves, they at least have the same input. They have the same amount of input. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
This is what I like to do. So we're actually talking about the games industry this time as opposed to toilets. Which
Yeah,
is
well,
hilarious. But
I think it's fun talking about Japan as well.
Yeah.
Combining that
Definitely.
in. Yeah. So it's interesting. When I first started at Nintendo, I started working with Nintendo, years back. The first thing I noticed there that was different to the English games industry at the time, it's like 1990 or so, was that they already had like a director-assistant director system for each game, and the producer would be a different person. Whereas in the West, there was no such separation of the role, so the producer is like the game director at the same time. Back then, not so much now, I think, but back then. There's just one person who was like the producer, game director, game designer, like one person, and then there'd be programmers and art, or a couple of programmers, a couple of artists, because teams are smaller back then. But the thing about Nintendo was, even back then, they had a much more defined separation of the skills.
Right on.
And so you didn't get so many conflicts of interest. So you'd get the producer and the director arguing about stuff because the producer wanted something done quicker and the director wanted to have more time to do it. Stuff like that.
Sure.
But it worked really well.
Was there like a difference in the size of the team?
Yeah, there were a few more. Obviously, Nintendo had a few more bodies to throw at games because they were, even back then, they were very, very profitable. So they had a lot of people working for them. But when I was there, there were only about 38 or 40 people in about the size of Q Games in Miyamoto's group.
Okay.
And now it's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, separated across like 5 different groups apparently.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of a different. So it's even back then, 40-person
team
development group. I mean, they made different games in the group, but it was just huge. In compared to like where I was Argonaut Software, where there were 15 people at the time. Back in England.
So do you think like the specialization came from the fact that there were so many people, or was it kind of?
It seemed to be from the start. Like it seemed to be early on. They'd already adopted that kind of system. So I think they'd already worked it out. I don't know where or how they thought it up, or
if it was conscious or just kind of evolved.
Yeah, well, Nintendo's an old company, right? So maybe they already had like a similar system for other projects they did before games.
Product development.
It's a very, very highly disciplined company because it's so old. You imagine they didn't just start making games and it's all like fresh faced.
Sure.
It's like
Venture capital.
No, they're all there's lots of old people. Old people. They're about, Nintendo, even back in the late 70s, there would have still been like the old guard at Nintendo.
Yeah.
With the young people like making all the games and the old guard like going all, and trying to control the output and stuff. And make sure it's fun. They probably helped like really push it and make it all popular.
Yeah. So they were businessmen before they were game developers. Kind of.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo definitely. It's just right from the start.
Yeah.
It's the most profitable company per employee in the world, isn't it?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's quite a lot of,
Not so many employees, that's the thing, right?
But this year they increased the number quite a bit, apparently.
Yeah?
But or last year, I think, maybe. But there isn't that large a number of employees compared to the amount of income it makes.
Because if you look at, I think, market capitalisation, right, against number of shares issued against the share value, is Toyota, by a decent chunk in Japan, and then second is Nintendo. Bigger than the back of Mitsubishi, bigger than, Mitsubishi, bigger than Mazda, bigger than all that sort of Nintendo. So,
They help fund our city.
Oh,
Yeah,
live
all
in
their
large.
tax.
Hell yeah.
Live in large. Oh, this is true.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you,
it.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
Kyoto's an awesome place because of you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it is. Yeah.
At least partially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for them.
You know, there are a lot of other people involved.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of big companies in Kyoto. Looks an exciting place to work. No, it's an interesting town.
Yeah.
It seems quite small, but it's actually quite packed full of all kinds of interesting companies,
Yeah.
such as Q Games.
We also have a lot of good universities here,
Oh yeah,
Yes.
very
which I think
Lots of
turns out
students.
a lot of good
Yeah.
researchers, a lot of,
There's a ton of universities in this town.
Yep.
Considering its size, there are a lot of universities.
Yeah, so Bear,
Yes, Ariel.
you like games, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So was there a game?
What a probing question.
Yeah. Was there a game that won you over in your youth that made you think,
Yeah.
okay, I want to make games when I grow up?
Yeah, actually, the game that got me into games and also got me into Japanese culture was The Legend of Zelda. So, just for, NES.
The original one.
Original one.
Oh, the original, yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Not
parents-
the second one that kind of sucked.
I'm a big fan of that
Yeah,
one as
that's
well.
kind of
Actually,
suck.
I'm a
My
big fan
Chris
of
is
that.
in there,
I
I'm
missed a
gonna
lot of
have to go
university classes to play that on
What, the second one?
emulator. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Did you like that second one?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I like 2D side scrolling RPG games actually.
It was a bit.
Castlevania.
It was a bit crap.
No, here's something, I couldn't beat it though. I tried.
It's
Yeah,
quite
yeah, it was
difficult.
like
Yeah,
very
it's really,
I
really
couldn't
difficult.
beat
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, but yeah.
I would always get so far and then just get stuck.
Yeah.
And
Oh, the first one's like really all the NES games are really difficult, like Metroid and
Yeah.
Zelda. But yeah,
Well, but the original one, the Famicom one,
Yeah.
so the NES one was. It was hard, but you could still solve it all. Like,
Yeah.
It wasn't actually ridiculously hard. And
Sure.
There weren't that many levels.
Yeah.
In this, the map was actually quite small, wasn't it?
yeah,
And you could actually, once you got all the items, it cleverly opened up all the newer areas.
yeah,
I think it's one of the first games I completed to the end.
nice.
Back in the day.
Yeah, the thing that got me into it, I guess, was it was actually the first RPG that I played, even though it was action RPG. I didn't actually play what we think of as a JRPG until like Final Fantasy II. In English, Final Fantasy II, which is like Final Fantasy IV.
right.
Right,
In
I
Japanese.
remember that.
But the other thing about Zelda is I got the cartridge, and it must have been just before I even entered elementary school. But I looked on the back, and it said made in Japan, and it's kind of like, what is Japan? So I didn't really know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Japan was. I didn't know if it was a country or if it was.
Yeah.
I didn't really know
That
what it was.
started the rocky road to success.
But yes. Yes. Success.
That's really cool.
That was a good game. I remember me and Mother-san talking about that and the fact that he made it because it's very original compared to other games at the time because it doesn't give you a weapon from the beginning.
Sure. Yeah.
And so you play the game at the beginning and you can't actually kill anything or do anything.
Yeah.
Really. And I thought that was a very interesting design point. That no one had really thought about at the time. All the other games at the time, they just gave you pretty much the default set from the beginning. They didn't really do any kind of teaching.
Right on.
And Zelda is all about teaching you, I think. So as you get each new element, like the bombs or the whatever, as you get each one, it teaches you,
Yep.
and then you have to learn how to use that, and then it opens up a whole new
Yes.
set of things you can do,
Yes.
etc.
Yeah.
A formula that they still use.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's very, very. At the time, it's very inspirational. I think. Compared
Well,
to
I
other
mean,
games.
yeah.
Definitely.